According to our government, the U.S. economy grew at a 2.6% growth rate during the third quarter of 2022. I call BS. I have one data point and a few other supporting things that we can talk about, and I want to hear what you think on this as well regarding the fact that there's no way the U.S. economy is as healthy as they are saying. Oh, coincidentally, right before the midterm elections. My question is this. Who the heck tabulated these numbers? I have twin 10-year-old daughters. They're in 5th grade. I asked them when they got home last night, I said, were there some people from the government having you add up some numbers, something to do with gross domestic product? I don't know. Was it like a preschool class they had put these numbers together? I don't think they're right, and we're going to talk about it right now. Unbelievable that 63% of Americans are doing this. Are you part of the 63%? I don't know, but I know you right now, from wherever you are in the world, are part of Ron's Basement. I really appreciate you being here. We like to dive a little deeper. It's a known fact. You're a little smarter than the average bear, even that stuffed bear. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. 63% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Almost 2/3 of Americans have no savings, no buffer built up for, let's say, like an emergency car repair or home repair or medical expense. 2/3 of Americans are literally standing on the edge of financial abyss, teetering on the edge. This is not a good situation, folks, but our government wants to tell us that the economy is great. Janet Yellen, they wheeled her out just yesterday, and she said the U.S. economy is very strong. Can't you tell? Blah, blah, blah. Well, Janet, come sit down here with me and the bear, and let's talk about what's really going on. From your cushy office in Washington, D.C., things may look really, really great. Why don't you have your driver drive you around some middle-class, normal, average American neighborhoods, if there even are middle-class neighborhoods anymore, and why don't you talk to some people? Why don't you ask them what it's like to feed their families, to heat their house, to pay their mortgage, to pay their rent, pay for their kids' clothing and stuff like that? Why don't you get in touch with reality? I'm sorry, I digressed on preaching to Janet Yellen. That wasn't to you, that was to Janet Yellen. And I just want to read you a couple interesting points from this article by Michael Leibowitz. He writes the Economic Collapse blog, okay? He says that why aren't more people alarmed by the fact that nearly 2/3 of the entire country is just barely scraping by from month to month? 2/3 of all working adults in the United States believe that they are worse off financially than just 12 months ago. And that goes back to my point. Like 1 year ago, things really were a lot different than they are right now. And we're having like serious issues in the real estate market. People are not saving any money. Savings are being depleted because everyday average people, likely like me and you, are having to dip into their savings just to pay for the necessities of life. And even worse, some people, and I hope this isn't you, are using their credit cards to pay for their daily living expenses. And what do you think? I mean, what do you think is going to happen if the economy actually gets worse, which a lot of the mainstream people are actually saying is likely to happen? If the economy were to get worse, it's going to put even more additional strain on the average everyday people. Michael brings up an interesting point when he says that unfortunately millions of Americans that purchased homes at or near the peak of the market just recently could soon find themselves underwater on their mortgages. And just like we witnessed in 2008, most Americans are completely and utterly unprepared for what is ahead. What do you think things are going to look like 1 year from now? If the economy plays out like most of the top economists are saying, things are going to be much tougher economically than they are right now. As a matter of fact, Bank of America, that prestigious Bank, they have predicted that in the first quarter of 2023, might I remind you, that starts in 2 months, that during the first quarter of 2023, they expect 175,000 job losses per month. So 63% of those 175,000 people in January who could lose their jobs are no longer going to have an income, and they were already living paycheck to paycheck. And we already right now have record long lines at food banks, soup kitchens, whatever you want to call them. People that can't already afford to live. What's going to happen if and when they lose their job? My heart goes out to them, right? To all of us. And it's not just in the United States. These types of situations and scenarios are, I understand, unfolding all throughout the world. Let me know. I know a lot of you watch from all over the world, the UK, Australia, South America, Asia. What's going on where you live? Do people feel poorer? Are people living paycheck to paycheck? We need to get a grip on this. Actually, I think at some point, when people get fed up enough, they might actually stand up and demand that they get people in government who are actually going to look out for the average guy, not blow smoke and mirrors and all that. And boy, am I on a ramble. I'll shut up. But things could get better if a lot of the people in the world say, hey, enough is enough, right? Yeah, we could all live a more prosperous and peaceful life if we had some greater, better, higher quality leaders running the show. And we're not political here in Ron's Basement, right? You and I, we aren't political. By the way, if you want to get updated every time I put out a new video, find that bell. There's something on your screen that looks like a bell. Press the bell. That way you'll get alerted every time I put out a new video. We are not political. I'm not Democratic or Republican. What I think we just need is some people leading the country, not just in the U.S., but maybe throughout the world, who are, number one, fair, and number two, honest, right? Nobody's absolutely perfect, but we have a ton of room for improvement from where we are right now in regards to who is running the world, who is in charge from a political perspective. It's kind of like the precious metal mining stocks, right? They're so far beat down. The level of honesty and fairness in government is so far beat down. The good news is there's a ton of room for improvement. From the mud grows flowers. So do you believe the great economy story being sold to us by our president, by our Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen? The economy's growing at almost 3%. Everything is awesome. Do you believe that? Or when you look at the facts, when you feel what you feel in your life, are you experiencing something different? Let me know in the comment section below. Please come back to Ron's Basement. You're always welcome here. Me and you, one-on-one, but we're part of a big community. I'll look forward to seeing you again next time.